Dan Dworkin on Talk Radio.
Welcome back. It is 6:23. John Barrowman coming up in just a moment on how we can save UK theatre in the midst of a pandemic. But first, why are both candidates for the US President, Donald Trump and Joe Biden, accusing each other of going senile?
It's so crazy what's happening. This guy doesn't talk. Nobody hears him. Whenever he does talk, he can't put two sentences together. I don't want to be nice or unnice, okay? But, I mean, the man can't speak.
Today we're facing a serious threat, and we have to meet it. We have to meet it as one country. But the president gives no direction, and he pits us against one another. We can't continue like this. Half recovering and half getting worse. We can't continue. Half wearing masks and half rejecting science. We can't continue. Half with a plan and half just hoping for the best.
Erol Morkoc is the spokesperson for Republican Overseas, and Scott Dworkin is a co-founder of the Democratic Coalition and host of the Dworkin Report podcast. They both join me now. Erol, what on earth is this all about? Both Trump and Biden accusing each other of going senile. Surely we should both accept they're just very successful men in their 70s.
Well, certainly in their heyday, they were both consummate orators. But currently, the situation is very clear that Joe Biden, I'm not saying he has dementia. I'm not saying anything. If you put his videos today next to his videos from 5-6 years ago, the fact that he's been hiding in his basement, the fact that he has rejected doing more than 3 debates on stage with Donald Trump, no problem pitting his mental acuity against Joe Biden. And Joe Biden and his campaign know for a fact that one-on-one, it would be a disaster. When those debates come around is where you're really going to see where the great divide is in the competency. Joe Biden had 40-plus years to be articulate and make change. He was articulate and he didn't make change. Donald Trump has had 3 years and he's been articulate and made changes. So I think that's the two sides of it. Now, there's a political gamesmanship, right? I mean, in this current situation, a foreign pestilence has been, unleashed upon the Republic. There's been, very unorthodox situations. You have avowed Marxists hiding behind BLM, Antifa, and the Democrat Party with self-stated goals of, taking down the president at all costs. Remember, from day one, they accused President Trump of being senile and demented. They've accused him recently of having Parkinson's because he didn't want to spill water on his on his silk tie. This is the kind of behavior, the kind of rhetoric, the kind of ageism that they've put forth. The sort of they go after his physical appearance.
But now you're doing the same thing to Biden, though.
Would I say the same thing to Biden? I would say that Joe Biden, when he puts himself out there, puts his foot in his mouth. Comments like, "You ain't black if you're voting for me," that's not something that a cognizant person would say, nor a decent person would say. Now, I'm not going to put Donald Trump's comments out there as though such a great, kind commentator. He wasn't elected for that. But Joe Biden, if you just look at how he speaks, some of the things he refers to, how China isn't an enemy. China, they're weak. They wouldn't eat our lunch. This very sort of arrogant, white, sort of privileged background that he's come from. Keep in mind, this is a man who lied about his credentials at college. He pretended that he had 3 degrees, top of his class, back when he ran in the 70s and was crushed. So Joe Biden has a history of being a liar, and now he's got a history of being an embarrassment to the Democrat Party. And he's going to be a tough candidate, but he's a great candidate because nobody has a strong feeling against him. And it would be the most...
Which is why you're so worried. Scott Dworkin, Joe Biden was asked by a reporter at a news conference this week if he had been tested for cognitive decline. He replied, "I'm constantly tested. I can hardly wait to compare my cognitive capability to the cognitive capability of the man I'm running against." But Donald Trump's campaign manager, Brad Pascal, tweeted, "What were the results? Why is he getting constantly tested?" So is this unfair from the Trump campaign to make an issue of Joe Biden's mental state?
No, it's fair game, I believe. I think that they have every right to go after that route. I just want to mention that thousands of doctors in the United States, accredited doctors, have signaled Trump as a sociopath. Not as a joke, not as some kind of punditry. That's just a fact based on evidence and doctors and science. So,
but you can't say for a fact that you have evidence of this.
Have you seen what's happening in the States right now?
Well,
absolutely.
Well, no, surely no. But I'm just trying to check. Are you trying to diagnose President Trump?
No, the doctors that I've spoken with did. And so over 1,000 doctors have diagnosed Donald Trump.
But is it possible to diagnose a patient without actually seeing that patient?
Yes. If you see him repeatedly speak and you see him in public and private and you've talked to him in person, yeah, there's ways to analyze that.
And they claim the diagnosis is what?
Sociopath. That he's a sociopath. He's defined as a monster in psychorhetoric. So it's shown through everything he does, the cruelty, the fact that we've had 130,000 to 200,000 deaths from coronavirus, the fact that we're the worst in the world at it and he doesn't care, the fact that he's assaulting his own people, the fact that, he's locking kids in cages, he's still keeping in cages.
But is it not better to fight on that policy and those issues rather than go for claims about what's happening inside someone's brain? And let's be honest, both of these men are old. Donald Trump was the oldest person to be sworn in as US president at that age, and the same would be said for Joe Biden. There's not a huge difference in their age. I think Trump's 74 and Biden's 77.
It's going to be a moot point. Like, we're both going to say it, but I'm not sure if it's going to get anybody in the lead. I think if you talk about the facts and we talk about the issues, when we talk about poll numbers, when we talk about the states, we talk about how Trump has not led in a national poll in 2 months. We talk about the fact that the momentum is on Joe Biden's side. And the fact is that we're more organized and ready for this than ever. There's going to be little pot shots that they throw out there and things about mental acuity, things like that we're not going to always entertain, but we are more than welcome to talk about things. I just think that they can't. One of the things that we do is we actually have we recognize when we are at fault. They kind of just cast blame and try to attack people. They have no ideas. One of the examples is he mentioned how Biden had accomplished nothing. One of the reasons healthcare passed in the United States is because of Joe Biden. Joe Biden is the one who lobbied the Hill. Joe Biden's the one who was in the Senate. Joe Biden's the one who was in the House. He was the one lobbying for votes.
Well, exactly. And I'd say that would be a better argument than just making arguments about Donald Trump's a sociopath. But I will let Erol Morkoc have the final word to respond to that. Scott Dworkin says 1,000 doctors have diagnosed Trump as a sociopath. How do you respond, Erol?
Well, that is ludicrous. It's not a fact. A diagnosis of sociopathy from armchair quarterbacks who want it to be true is both childish and pedantic. Defining somebody as a monster, there's a code of ethics, and that is that you don't treat patients based on how you read them online. I think that is the most ridiculous thing. This election in the end is going to come down to economic facts. You have 2.5 million jobs created in mid-May, consumer confidence having the biggest jump month to month in history in the high 90s just yesterday. If this economy rebounds and he's still polling 10% over Biden on the economy and the economy is the issue, he wins. And that's just the fact of the matter. 15,000 people came to his Wisconsin rally. 58% were not Republicans and 27% did not vote in 2016. A state he won by only 20K. It's about enthusiasm and turnout. Even if he's down 5% in the polls, he can win. It's unpredictable, it's asymmetric, it's unprecedented, and it's exactly the formula to keep America great going forward as we march towards the middle of the 21st century.
Erol Morkoc, the spokesperson for Republican Overseas, and Scott Dworkin, co-founder of the Democratic Coalition, host of the Dworkin Report podcast. A pleasure to have both of you on the show. It's 6:32. John Barrowman is